I used to work a really stressful job with hard hours and terrible co-workers. I was also supplementing my income by renting out the third bedroom in my house. The other spare was a guest room slash storage. She paid slash pays me 700 each month, and we used to split the utilities in half. Things got really bad at work and I wanted to leave. I decided to clean out the guest room and rent it out. I told my roommate and she was unhappy because she didn't want to share a bathroom. I pointed out her share of the utilities would go down, but she didn't really care about that. Anyway, I rented out the room not long after I quit my job. Anyway, my mortgage is $1,500 a month. So right now I'm paying around $100 a month plus the rent from both girls and living off of my savings while I look for a job. My roommate noticed I'm not going into work anymore. I told her I left that job and I'm looking for a new one. She said, "So now you're a professional homeowner basically." I disagreed with that assessment. She said I'm leeching off of her and the other girl because I don't want to work. I do want to work. It's just that I need to find a new job. And since people need cheap places to stay, renting out these rooms allows me to keep paying my mortgage while I look. My roommate says I'm taking advantage of her, but she chose to move in here. I don't consider myself to be a leech, but she thinks I'm a selfish jerk. Am I? And now for some comments. You're not in the wrong. A professional homeowner is called a landlord. If you can get people to live in your house and pay your mortgage while you get another job, there is no shame in that. They are living in your house that you bought. Not in the wrong. She's free to look for a different living situation if she's unhappy with the changes made. Regardless of who she decides to rent from, they will be profiting in some way from their rent payments. It's not like you've turned the living room into a private space just to squeeze more renters into your home. Not in the wrong. Start looking for a replacement roommate. Yesterday, me and 3 co-workers went out to lunch. I drove, and one of my co-workers was getting out of my back seat and door dinged the car next to us. It was bad. We're not talking about a tiny dent, but a deep scratch with bare metal exposed. I told her it was bad damage and asked if she was going to leave a note. And she said no. We'll just pretend that never happened. I went along her way. I told her I really think she needed to leave a note, but she just laughed. I decided to leave a note on her behalf. I was about to leave my information, but then I realized I wasn't responsible for the damage. I was very irritated that she didn't care that she damaged someone else's property. So I left her name and number. Later I got an irate phone call from her asking what I had done. I told her I left a note explaining the damage and who the owner of the car could contact for repairs. She said I was a jerk who's taking Christmas away from her kids and uptight since door dings are part of owning a car. I'll admit, I was very frustrated with her lack of care and fear that might have driven me to give up her information. Am I in the wrong here? And now for some comments. Not in the wrong. What she did was practically illegal. She can go pound sand. She is the one who ruined Christmas. She's lucky you did leave the note, since not doing so would mean leaving the scene of property damage. Maybe next time she'll be more careful when she is opening a door. I literally tell my kid every single time she gets out of the car to be careful with the door. Not in the wrong. She damaged someone's property and is responsible for it. Things happen. But down below the paint and you need to fix it to prevent rust. I did the same. Watched the driver back speedily into another car, got out and saw the cracked bumper and scraped paint off and then drove away. I wrote down their plates and left my work number in case the owner wanted a statement. They wound up getting it all covered and cops got involved. The driver had been known to do that multiple times apparently and had been driving a family member's car they weren't approved to drive. Not in the wrong, but you better hope that she doesn't give them your information or car insurance. But you better hope that she doesn't give them your information or car insurance information since you might be somewhat liable. even though you didn't do anything. I, 24 female, have a 3-year-old son called Cass, who is the light of my life. He's a real sweetheart, and if he had it his way, he'd be carried around in my arms all day long. Plus, only put down when we come across a cool bug. He doesn't talk very often. It's something that I was worried about in the beginning because, as a young mom, I worry about almost everything. But the pediatrician told me that he'll likely become more talkative over time. I am currently looking into speech therapist just to see if that will help a bit. And we're currently learning sign language too, so Cass can switch to that when he doesn't feel like using his voice. He's such a smart kid, and he's so curious about everything. All he ever wants to do is explore and learn about new things. I am so proud of him, and I love being his mom and getting to see the world through his eyes. My mom, 50, doesn't like the approach I've taken to my son's tendency to not speak very often. There have been a few times where he'll be asking for something and she will refuse because he isn't using his voice. It's one of the main reasons why I never ask her to babysit, because it bothers me when she does that and I stop it every time. We were all at a restaurant with my stepdad, 55, my stepbrother, 30, and his wife, 30. And also their son James, 4. When it came time to order, I read some options out to Cass and he signed yes for the meal he wanted. James spoke to the waiter on his own. When the waiter walked away, my mom got upset with me. She said that because I'm the parent, I need to tell Cass to get over his stubborn attitude about speaking and that his refusal to do so is ridiculous. My stepdad then expressed concerns about the fact that James was saying full sentences by 2 years old, but Cass is 3 and he'd only ever heard them say about 5 words. I told them both that I didn't appreciate them trying to have that conversation with me in front of Cass and at a family lunch. But then my mom said that if Cass had an issue, he should use his voice to tell them that instead of relying on me to do it for him. I ended up flagging the waiter down and asking for my part of the bill, and if I could get the food to go because I didn't think it was fair for my son to have to sit there and listen to them talk about him like he couldn't understand what they were saying. Once I paid and got the food, we went home. My mom texted me later saying that I'm doing my son a disservice by not making him speak, that it was rude of me to leave lunch like that just because I didn't like the way the conversation was going, and that it speaks to my immaturity. Truthfully, if I had pushed him to do it, I know he would have verbalized what he wanted, but he clearly felt more comfortable signing, so I didn't feel the need to do that. Regardless, was it an immature/jerk move to leave like that? Edit. Cass is fully capable of speaking. He has said a full sentence before. He just doesn't talk very often, and especially not in front of other people or in public. Like I said, I've spoken to his pediatrician and I'm currently looking for speech therapists, and I've been thinking about getting him assist for a while now. I'll just have to bring it up to the doctor. Cass uses signs, he has vocab cards and flashcards, and he already knows how to spell all of his favorite words. We work on his words all the time. It is one of his favorite things to do. And no, the bio dad isn't involved. It is just Cass and me. Edit 2. I don't mean to sound defensive or anything, but please read the first edit before telling me what I should be doing for my son. I have spoken to his doctor multiple times. I'm looking for a speech therapist. I have been looking into getting him assist. I offer him multiple different methods of communication. I encourage him to speak when I know he's comfortable doing so. And also, he knows more than 5 words. My stepfather just stated that he's only ever heard Cass say 5 words. Cass has a large vocabulary. He just doesn't verbalize it often. And now for some comments. Absolutely not in the wrong. I have a child who is on the autism spectrum and has selective mutism. The situations you are describing sound so familiar to me. And the absolute worst thing you can do is to try to push the issue and force them to talk. Not only will it not work, it can make the issue worse. You are doing right by your child. Psych here. You're not in the wrong. A crackdown approach will only increase your son's anxiety about speaking. Also, the normal range of speech is absolutely huge at age 3. So while obviously it is a good idea to consult a speech therapist to guide your decisions and any need for intervention, it is not the case that a 3-year-old who doesn't speak much necessarily has a disorder. Not in the wrong. You are an awesome mom. Signing is perfectly good communication, and if that works better for Cass, then that works better. At least he's still able to express himself. I'm sorry your parents are so unsupportive and judgmental. They are coming from a very old-fashioned viewpoint, but research now indicates that using sign helps developing speech. I have 4 kids. Carmen, 32, Elisa, 28, Michael, 26, and Andrew, 21. Carmen and Michael are both lower middle class. Carmen is a single mom of 2 and works as a nurse. Michael and his wife are teachers and are expecting their first child. Carmen makes $100K and Michael and his wife make a little over $100K combined. And we live in California near the Bay Area where $100K is considered low income. Elisa is a nanny for an extremely rich family. I don't know if she's considered a live-in because she lives in a separate house but on the same property. She makes $250K per year plus bonuses. Doesn't pay for rent or utilities. Rarely buys groceries because she always eats with the family. They bought her a brand new car. They pay for her gas, maintenance, all of her medical, dental, vision, and so on is 100% paid for by the family. Hell, they even pay for her gym membership and her vacations. She worked for them for 2 years now and recently bought a rental building in cash. Needless to say, she's doing very well for herself. Michael and Andrew just asked me for money. Michael needs $30K for part of a down payment for a townhouse, and Andrew wants $10K so he could graduate with no debt. I told him to ask Elisa for money, not me, and that she could easily afford to help them both out. Elisa called me the other day asking what I said to her brothers because now they are both asking her for money. I told her what I told him, and she yelled at me for volunteering her to help with her brother's expenses. I told her that I never said she would help them. I just said that she easily could. She said she doesn't feel comfortable loaning money to family because she doesn't want to risk the relationship if they don't pay her back. I told her it shouldn't be a big deal if they don't pay her back because we know her Christmas bonus will be close to double what her brothers want. Plus, if she says no, she could potentially risk her relationship with her brothers because she can't afford it. She hung up on me and hadn't spoken to me since then, so I wanted to know if I was a jerk here. And now for some comments. You are in the wrong. You basically reviewed your daughter's finances and deemed that she can afford to give thousands of dollars to your children without even speaking to her first. You could have simply said no to your sons. Instead, you created family drama among your children. If I was her, I wouldn't share any of my business with you ever again. You seem to hold her success against her. She worked hard and made sacrifices to plan for her future. Working with wealthy people is exhausting. They are demanding and fickle. Kids are work too. You are in the wrong. This can't be for real, can it? You really sent your children to their sibling for money? If you can help Michael and Andrew, help them. If you can't, tell them you can't. It sounds like you resent Elisa. Don't want to admit that you can/won't help out your 2 younger boys, and then fumford around with, well, I never said you would help them, which is a weaselly way to refuse to admit your fault. You are devious, sneaky, and clearly resent your successful child and her employers. Apologize to her, and either help or don't help your younger kids. But don't sick them and their demands on her. She doesn't deserve to be penalized or dragged down into the crap bucket for what she's doing, though clearly you think she should be. You are in the wrong. You volunteered your daughter to be a bank to 2 of your kids, then said if she doesn't loan them her money, It could risk her relationship with him, essentially holding her hostage. You suck.